Welcome into PFF TV. Shannon, Ford, Cam, Mellor here to talk to you about the college football power rankings. We've got top 25 on the site. You can check them out there. We are going to cover 10 of those right here. But first, this is all brought to you by our friends at Eckrich, the official deli meat and smoked sausage of the college football playoff. Head to EckrichFootball.com and sign up for the $1 Million Challenge. You could throw to win $1 million. Who doesn't like that? All right, let's get right into it. At number 10, we've got the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, these guys have pitched 4 shutout games. Why are they at number 10?
This is a team that is doing it by defense and by running the ball. They don't have quite the passing game that you would like from a top 10 team, but right now it hasn't mattered. They've scored 4 touchdowns on defense. They've allowed 4 touchdowns on defense. Jonathan Taylor, touchdown. JTT over here, as well, is rightfully so a Heisman candidate and probably the only running back that can get it done. If he were to get that far, they run into the Ohio State Buckeyes in a few weeks, and that'll be the true litmus test of this defense. But right now, they are the best defense in college football.
No doubt. All right. Number 9, we've got Auburn. Bo Nix has started to show the colors of what Bo Nix could be. He is a true freshman. He's working with Gus Malzahn, who's been known to give his quarterbacks power, but as a true freshman, it's hard to do that.
This is an offense that needs help, and they need help at the quarterback position. Bo Nix, we saw what happens when Bo Nix does not play very well. It's the 4th lowest graded game from a quarterback when they took on the Florida Gators, and they lose the game. It was not without a great defensive performance that they were in that game against Florida. Bo Nix does enough to lose the game. They lose the game. He needs to play better for them to justify this 9th ranking, but right now, the defense is playing well enough. They have a favorable schedule through some of their SEC matchups here, outside of a few tough challenges, and that Iron Bowl coming up at the end, we'll truly see, but they need to get better quarterback play out of Bo Nix, but if not, they still can't count on their defense to keep them in most games.
All right, another team that needs to play better in order to keep their ranking is our number 8, Notre Dame. Ian Book looked not so hot in the first part of that game against USC in Week 7. Can the Irish and Brian Kelly come back?
We'll see. They're another team that it's kind of like the bottom half of our top 10 here. They're doing it in ways that you don't necessarily think are sustainable. So we need to see a little bit better from Ian Book. Like what Tony James was able to do, though, running through basically everybody. And they did stop the air raid offense at USC pretty well. Their cornerbacks are stout, but Julian Okwara and Khalid Kareem on the edge can get pressure and get home at any given notice. So we do like their defense. We like their edge pressure and their corners to keep them in any game favorable here going forward. Michigan on their schedule, and that's really their true last challenge before they likely go 11-1.
No doubt. All right, number 7, we've got the Georgia Dogs, whose bubble was burst in Week 7 by South Carolina. Jake Fromm had one of the largest drop-offs in PFF grading that we've seen. It was ugly. It
was not a good game. His first interception, his first 3 interceptions came in this game. A really bad decision to throw the first pass, that first interception. It was picked, returned for a touchdown. They never really seemed to be in the game against South Carolina, and it showed they lose. They had every opportunity to win that game. The defense still played well, but they didn't get it done. They need to now convincingly win the rest of their games. They need to convincingly beat Florida and win, and then ultimately sneak into the SEC title game, win the SEC title game as an upset, and then that would really flip the college football playoff on its head. But as of right now, they're basically out, even though they're sitting at 7th right now.
All right, we already talked about Wisconsin, but let's talk about another Big Ten contender, and that is Penn State. They're kind of hiding out there in Happy Valley. People are just starting to notice the Penn State Nittany Lions, but their defense is good. Their quarterback barely threw for 100 yards in Week 7.
Didn't need to. The Iowa defense has been very sharp. They limited Michigan to very few yards. They limit Penn State. They do get a great game out of KJ Hamler. KJ Hamler is a mismatch whenever he's on the field from the slot. He is faster than just about anybody that any team can have to cover him. They get a statement game here coming up against Michigan that really would announce that they're a top 10 team, and that's what we've seen from them so far. It's a total team victory on offense, defense, plus play basically every position for the Nittany Lions this year.
No doubt. All right. We've been talking a lot of defense, so I'm excited about this one. Let's talk about Oklahoma. The Red River Showdown has come and gone, and Oklahoma came out on top. Their defense really won this game for them, though.
They did. And Jalen Hurts gets his Heisman moment by flipping the ball behind his back, finding a receiver downfield on 3rd down. Let's not forget, though, they didn't get the next 4th down play because they didn't get it on 3rd down. That's neither here nor there. This guy's going to New York. He's a Heisman contender. They get by their lone big challenge in Texas. This is a team setting up to be 12-0, going to the Big 12 championship game, sending another transfer quarterback to New York for their Heisman.
All right. The Ohio State Buckeyes. These guys have been dominant. We talk a lot about Chase Young in our Heisman Watch videos. We talk about the Ohio State defense, which is much improved under Ryan Day. Ohio State looks to be unstoppable. A lot of people have their eye on that October 26 matchup against number 10 ranked Wisconsin. But overall, the Big Ten has been dominant, and they have a lot of Big Ten matchups down the stretch that could make or break Ohio State.
And that, I think, will supplant them as the best team in the Big Ten and probably a true top 4 team. This team does it everywhere. They have the second best defense, no slight to them, behind Wisconsin, but they have the best offense in the Big Ten, led by potentially 2 Heisman contenders in Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins. There's not quite the star on the outside at wide receiver that they've had, but they haven't needed to this year. Justin Fields in the conversation for best dual threat quarterback with Jalen Hurts, Khalil Tate. But if that is the discussion, Fields gets the edge as the downfield passer and one of the better downfield passers so far this year.
All right. Our number 3 slot kind of surprised me, LSU Tigers. Joe Burrow has been performing exceptionally well. The LSU Tigers have been performing exceptionally well. They've already beaten 2 top 10 teams. They have some big matchups coming up. I think Alabama and LSU could probably cancel each other out here as we get to the end of the college football schedule. But what do we think about LSU?
We like them. This is truly elite level play from a quarterback. Every game so far this year has been elite for Joe Burrow. That's almost unheard of. We've never had that happen. We're finally seeing the defense kind of match up. I know we saw Derek Stingley's first rough outing as a true freshman at cornerback. Christian Fulton has allowed more yards this season than he did all of last year already. But still, that defense is meshing together. They're gelling. They hold Florida in the second half when it mattered. But Joey B, now mock number 1 in our newest mock draft, rising the ranks of the draft boards, but also staying atop the Heisman race. This guy truly finds his receivers at any level of the field, any distance of the field, any width of the field. Joey B is a top 5 quarterback in any of our metrics and the number 1 overall guy on offense so far.
All right, well, speaking of Joe Burrow, we put out our latest mock draft on PFF.com, and guess who's at number 1?
Joey B.
Joey B. So go to PFF.com and check it out. All right, let's get to these final 2 here. We got Clemson at number 2. Trevor Lawrence hasn't played as well as a Joe Burrow or a Justin Fields, but the Tigers have played well. I mean, they didn't play so hot against UNC, but they came back and just destroyed Florida State as a result.
Don't look now, but Trevor Lawrence is trending back up into this top 10 of the Heisman. This is a guy, he's got 3 great game grades on his record so far, the last 3. Let's wipe out the first third, the first quarter of the season for him. They're still undefeated. They're still 21-0 at this point with Lawrence in the lineup on the roster. This guy has never taken a snap in the second half trailing. Let's just put that into perspective. That's unheard of. I know it's the ACC, but you have last year's playoff run, national championship run. Trevor Lawrence, though, great game grades. They look like the best team possibly in the country in their dismantling of FSU, and this is where they're trending. That their number 2 ranking, though, does show how good they were last year and how good they've been overall this year, even if they haven't had quite the gaudy performances like they had last year.
Yeah, and a lot of people were looking ahead to their matchup against Wake Forest. Of course, Wake Forest lost in Week 7, so we could see Clemson really not be tested until playoff time, at which point it'll be make or break.
Likely double-digit favorites throughout the rest of their schedule now, yes.
Yep. All right, another team kind of reminds me of the Patriots of college football. They've had a breezy schedule, if you will, through the first 7 weeks of college football. And Alabama might not be tested until we really get to the college football playoff. I mean, they have LSU later in the season, but
let's call that game a national championship quarterfinal.
Sure.
We have Alabama, LSU week 11, Ohio State, Wisconsin week 9. These are basically quarterfinal matchups. Let's face it, these teams are the best in the country. Alabama, though, Tua Tagovailoa not having to do a lot downfield. We're not going to discredit him for finding these wide open receivers 9 yards down the field that they then take 60 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Tua, though, is doing everything right, doing everything well, and we're finally starting to see him over the past few weeks kind of sling it downfield, average a little bit further downfield as his target. Average depth of target gets longer, deeper, and he's getting much bigger grades. Alabama is rolling, and if you really put into perspective, the same South Carolina team that they rolled over beats Georgia. So this is a team, Alabama, that is whole. They are complete. And this is the elite team surpassing Clemson to number 1.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we've talked about it time and time again that Tua, his air yards are far fewer than his yards after the catch. So his team is kind of carrying him on his back a little bit.
Yep.
So LSU, Alabama could be the race for the better quarterback.
This could be
win
unlike,
that one.
unlike any SEC game we've seen in a long time. 52-49 maybe. We'll see something crazy in terms of scoring from those two teams later this year.
It'll be a fun one to watch. Okay, that was just 10 of our top 25 power rankings presented by our friends at Eckrich. Don't forget to head to EckrichFootball.com. Sign up for that $1 million challenge for a chance to throw for $1 million at the College Football National Championship and other games throughout the college football calendar. He's Cam Mellor. I'm Shannon Ford. We are signing off. Go to PFF.com for the rest of the rankings.
You want to get rid of me and get back to more great PFF YouTube content? All you have to do is push that button right there and subscribe. Thanks for watching.